The US Open final that sparked a global debate, September 8, 2018. The US Open final, Serena Williams versus Naomi Osaka, chair umpire Carlos Ramos. What should have been a celebration turned into the most insane outburst in modern tennis history. Serena's coach made hand signals from his seat during the match. Ramos saw it and gave Serena a warning for coaching. At that time, coaches weren't allowed to give advice during matches. That rule has since changed, but back in 2018, it was strictly forbidden. Serena exploded at the umpire, insisting she never cheats and doesn't need coaching. Her coach later admitted he was trying to coach, but Serena genuinely didn't see the signals. That was violation number 1. After losing the first set, Serena smashed her racket in frustration. That's violation 2. Because it was her second code violation, the penalty automatically escalated to losing a point in the next game. Serena was furious, arguing that male players smash rackets constantly without facing this level of punishment. Then came the real explosion. Serena walked up to Ramos and demanded an apology for the coaching warning. When he refused, she called him a thief for stealing a point from her. "You owe me an apology. You will never be on another court of mine as long as you live. You are a liar. You stole a point from me. You're a thief." Ramos ruled this was verbal abuse. Violation 3. The penalty? An entire game. The score was 4-3. Suddenly, Osaka was leading 5-3 in the second set without even hitting a ball. Serena lost the match. She was fined $17,000, $4,000 for coaching, $3,000 for the racket, $10,000 for verbal abuse. But the real cost was to Osaka. The 20-year-old sat crying during the trophy ceremony while the crowd booed. Her first Grand Slam title was completely overshadowed. The incident sparked a global debate about sexism in tennis. Serena argued male players say worse things to umpires without game penalties. Others said rules are rules regardless of gender. The conversation about equality in tennis officiating continues today. The world number 1's shocking accident, September 6, 2020, US Open 4th round. Novak Djokovic, the world number 1 and heavy favorite to win the tournament, was playing Pablo Carreño Busta. The match wasn't going well. Djokovic had just lost his serve and was trailing 5-6 in the first set. In frustration, Djokovic took a ball out of his pocket and hit it behind him toward the back of the court without looking. The ball flew straight into the throat of line judge Laura Clark. She immediately grabbed her throat and fell to her knees, struggling to breathe. Medical staff rushed over. Djokovic looked horrified, realizing what he'd done. The tournament referee and supervisor came onto the court. They spoke with Djokovic for several minutes. He tried to explain it was an accident, that he didn't mean to hit anyone, but the rule is clear. If you hit a ball in anger without regard for where it's going and it hits an official, you're automatically disqualified. Intent doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the world number 1. Djokovic was disqualified from the tournament. He lost all his ranking points. He forfeited his prize money of $250,000 for reaching the 4th round. There was no appeal. He had to leave. Laura Clark recovered but was removed from officiating for the rest of the tournament. Djokovic posted a public apology on social media, saying he was extremely sorry for causing her stress and pain. The US Open confirmed she was okay. The incident sparked debate about whether accidents should carry the same penalty as intentional actions. Most agreed the rule exists for a reason. Official safety cannot be compromised. If the best player in the world gets away with it, what message does that send? Djokovic's disqualification opened up the tournament. Dominic Thiem eventually won, but everyone remembers the 2020 US Open for the moment the favorite was kicked out for an accident. That was shocking because it was unintentional. If you are loving this video, please click the hype button on your mobile screen and help us to reach out to more tennis fans. Done? Let's continue. The phrase that defined tennis rebellion. June 22nd, 1981, Wimbledon, center court, first round match. John McEnroe versus Tom Gullickson. Chair umpire, Edward James. McEnroe was already known for his temper, but what happened next would define his entire career and create the most famous phrase in tennis history. McEnroe hit a serve. The line judge called it out. McEnroe stopped, stared at the mark, and then exploded. "You cannot be serious. That ball was on the line." Chalk flew up. He pointed at the mark, gestured wildly at the umpire, and argued for several minutes. The crowd was stunned. This was Wimbledon, the most prestigious tournament in tennis, and McEnroe was treating it like a street argument. James remained calm, issued a warning for unsportsmanlike conduct, and told McEnroe to continue play, but the phrase was already immortalized. "You cannot be serious," became McEnroe's signature line. It appeared on t-shirts, in commercials, in movies. People who'd never watched tennis knew that phrase. McEnroe won the match. The bad boy of tennis, the player who couldn't control his emotions. He became known as Super Brat. He embraced it. It became part of his brand. The incident sparked a larger conversation about whether line calls were accurate. If McEnroe was right and the ball was in, should players have a way to challenge calls? It took 25 years, but electronic line calling technology called Hawkeye was eventually introduced, partly because of moments like this where players and officials disagreed. McEnroe's outburst was theatrical, entertaining, and ultimately harmless. He yelled at an umpire, but nobody got hurt. The phrase became cultural shorthand for disbelief at an unfair situation. Even today, people use "you cannot be serious" in everyday conversation without knowing where it came from. The 17-year-old's devastating mistake. February 5th, 2017, Davis Cup thus Canada versus Great Britain. Denis Shapovalov, just 17 years old, was playing Kyle Edmund in the fourth match of the tie. Canada was down 2-1 in the overall tie. He had just lost his serve and was falling behind in the fourth set. He was frustrated, exhausted, and losing. In anger, he smashed a ball toward his bench without looking where it was going. The ball flew directly into the left eye of chair umpire Arnaud Gabas. Gabas immediately grabbed his face in pain. The match stopped. Medical staff examined him. His eye was already swelling badly. Shapovalov realized what he'd done. He put his hands on his head, visibly devastated. The referee had no choice. Immediate disqualification for unsportsmanlike conduct. Canada lost the tie. Great Britain advanced to the next round. Shapovalov's mistake had cost his entire country. But the worst part was Gabas's injury. He was initially treated at a hospital in Ottawa, where doctors said there was no damage to the cornea or retina. But when he returned to France for further examination, they discovered he had fractured the orbital bone under his left eye. He needed surgery to repair it. Shapovalov was heartbroken. He was 17, representing his country in front of his home crowd, and he'd just injured an official and lost the tie for Canada. He issued multiple apologies, calling it the worst moment of his career. He said he couldn't sleep for days, replaying the moment over and over. Gabas underwent successful surgery and eventually returned to officiating. He confirmed publicly that he held no grudge against the teenager, understanding it was an accident born from frustration. The ATP fined Shapovalov $7,000. The incident became a turning point for him. He matured, learned to control his emotions better, and went on to become a top 20 player in the world. The championship lost in one moment of rage. June 17, 2012, Queen's Club Final, London, David Nalbandian versus Marin Cilic. This was a grass court tournament, a warm-up for Wimbledon. Nalbandian was playing well. He'd won the first set 7-6 in a tiebreak. In the second set, he'd just lost his serve and was now trailing 3-4. Frustrated, Nalbandian walked to his chair during the break. Sitting right next to his chair was line judge Andrew McDougall. In front of McDougall was a wooden advertising board. Nalbandian, in a moment of pure anger, kicked the board as hard as he could. The board shattered. A large piece flew off and struck McDougall directly in the left shin, cutting him open. Blood immediately appeared on his leg. McDougall grabbed his shin in pain. The crowd gasped. Medical staff rushed over to treat the bleeding line judge. The referee had no choice. Nalbandian was immediately disqualified for unsportsmanlike conduct causing injury to an official. He had won the first set and was still competitive in the second. He had a real chance to win the championship, and in one moment of stupidity, he threw it all away. McDougall received first aid on the court. The cut was about an inch long and bled visibly, but he didn't require hospital treatment. He was shaken but physically okay. Nalbandian apologized repeatedly, but the damage was done. The consequences were severe. He received the maximum fine allowed by the ATP. London police investigated the incident as a potential assault, though no criminal charges were ultimately filed. Most importantly, he lost the championship trophy. Cilic was awarded the title by default without hitting another ball. Nalbandian's career never recovered. He retired less than a year later. The Queen's Club incident became his legacy. The player who lost a final he could have won because he couldn't control his temper for 10 seconds. If you are loving this video, subscribe to our channel and help us reach 5,000 subs by month's end. The most disrespectful comment in tennis history. August 12th, 2015. Rogers Cup, Montreal, second round. Nick Kyrgios versus Stan Wawrinka. Kyrgios was 20 years old, already known for his incredible talent and terrible attitude. Wawrinka was a 3-time Grand Slam champion and one of the most respected players in tennis. What happened next? crossed a line that had never been crossed before. During a break in play, Kyrgios was caught on courtside microphone saying to Wawrinka, "Kokkinakis banged your girlfriend." "Sorry to tell you that, mate." He was referring to fellow Australian player Thanasi Kokkinakis and Wawrinka's girlfriend at the time, Donna Vekic, who was also a professional tennis player. The comment was heard clearly by the microphones and spread instantly across social media. Wawrinka was furious. After the match, he tweeted that there's a line you don't cross in competition, and Kyrgios crossed it. Roger Federer called it completely unacceptable. The ATP fined Kyrgios $10,000 for verbal abuse, the maximum allowed for a single incident. He also received a 28-day suspended ban, meaning if he committed another major offense within 6 months, he'd be suspended from the tour entirely. Kyrgios issued a half-hearted apology, saying he was sorry if he offended anyone, but that trash talk is part of competitive sports. The problem was, this wasn't trash talk about tennis. This was a personal attack on someone's private relationship. It was disrespectful not just to Wawrinka, but also to Vekic, who had nothing to do with the match and didn't deserve to be dragged into it. The incident defined Kyrgios' reputation. He became known as the bad boy of tennis. Sponsors distanced themselves. Fans were divided. Some loved his rebellious attitude, others thought he was a disgrace to the sport. Years later, Kyrgios admitted he regretted the comment, saying he was young and immature, but the damage to his reputation was permanent. The most bizarre incident in tennis history. July 1st, 1995, Wimbledon, 3rd round. Jeff Tarango versus Alexander Morans. Chair umpire Bruno Ribot. Tarango was an American player ranked in the 40s, not a star but a solid professional. Tarango was losing and getting increasingly frustrated. The crowd was heckling him. He yelled at them to shut up, which earned him a code violation from Ribot for unsportsmanlike conduct. Tarango argued with the umpire. Ribot gave him a point penalty. Tarango exploded, calling Ribot the most corrupt official in the game. Then Tarango did something unprecedented in Wimbledon's history. He walked off the court in the middle of the match. He defaulted himself. He grabbed his bag, refused to continue playing, and left. The crowd was stunned. Ribot sat in his chair, unsure what to do. It was complete chaos. But the story doesn't end there. Tarango's wife, Benedicta, was watching from the stands. She was furious at Ribot for the penalties against her husband. After the match ended, she found Ribot walking through the corridors of the All England club, and she slapped him across the face. Multiple witnesses confirmed it happened. Benedicta later defended her actions in interviews, saying Ribot deserved to be taught a lesson and that players have no one to defend them against corrupt officials. The incident made global headlines. The consequences were severe. Tarango was fined and banned from competing at Wimbledon in 1996. He was also withdrawn from his mixed doubles event, where he was partnered with Martina Navratilova, costing her a chance to continue in that competition. Discussions of potential assault charges against Benedicta occurred, but no formal charges were filed. The incident became a punchline on late-night talk shows and appeared in every Worst Sports Moments compilation. Tarango's career never recovered from the embarrassment. He's remembered not for his tennis ability, but for walking off Wimbledon and having his wife assault an umpire. The Tarango incident remains unique in tennis history. From Serena's fight for equality to Djokovic's costly accident, from McEnroe's legendary phrase to a teenager's devastating mistake, these outbursts show that even the best players in the world can lose control. Some changed the rules of tennis, some ended careers, and one involved a wife slapping an umpire. Tennis is supposed to be a gentleman's sport, but these moments prove that when emotions run high, anything can happen. You can watch our next video here.